of the hour, I'm Brooke Baldwin. For the next 30 minutes, we will discuss the hot topics that you will be talking about at the dinner table tonight. Full plate today, starting with the gun-fueled ad that's now backfiring for Nike. Here it is, featuring the so-called Blade Runner himself, Oscar Pistorius. You see it says, "I am the bullet in the chamber." Nike has now pulled the ad. As you know, the story of the last 48 hours, the famed Olympic runner now accused of fatally shooting his model girlfriend at his home on Valentine's Day. The South African sports icon broke down in court today after being formally charged with her murder. Nike has pulled the bullet ad, and the company issued a statement today expressing, quote, "sympathy and condolences to the families concerned following this tragic incident." The company added it won't comment further as police are still investigating. On the panel today, here with me at the table, Dr. Drew from HLN, also Amy Palmer, entertainment reporter, founder of PowerWomenTV.com, Dee Dee McGuire, national radio personality and host of Dee Dee in the Morning radio show, Joe Levy, contributing editor at Rolling Stone, and Peter Shankman, branding and social media consultant. And since we're talking Nike, Peter Shankman, I have to start with you. At what point does Nike need to say, okay, enough is enough? They're pulling out of repping Pistorius altogether?
I bet Nike never would have imagined they'd be longing for the days where they had a golfer who slept with other women. You know, it's an unbelievable story. They have to get to the point right now where they're like, they don't know the facts, no one knows the fact, but the fact that he was charged, they need to step away. They definitely need to step away. Maybe not forever. You know, if they step away forever and then he's released or new information comes out, they'll look pretty stupid, but they need to take a step back. I think they've done that with the release they issued. But yeah, no future ads for time being for Pistorius for Nike.
I think, honestly, I think that they should step away altogether. I think that this look right here is very much damaging for him, for Nike. You're talking about a guy who shot 4 times. And that's the thing that is so scary to me. This story bothers me a lot because if you know that your boyfriend is sleeping with a gun, had another gun, I think they said a machine gun that was sitting.
These are all allegations, though. Let's be clear. These are
I understand that they're allegations, but what is not, but hold on, but what is not an allegation is that there is a woman now who has been murdered. Who has been shot to death, 4 shots, and so there's no disputing that.
And apparently there have been multiple domestic violence complaints about this couple. Again, I like the matter-of-fact way, the way the South African police sort of approach this. Just like, well, this is what's happening, and here's where it's gone. And the fact is, if you really look at this guy's history, he was into extremes. And when people are into extremes, they can be sometimes bipolar and or prone to addiction. And when they get in those altered states, they can do aggressive and violent things in those states.
But so here's the question that we were marinating on earlier when it comes to Nike. There are all kinds of athletes that they have they've dropped, like most recently Lance Armstrong,
they get out quick, it seems
Tiger Woods. But yet at the same time, Ben Roethlisberger, he had an incident not too long ago. At what point does Nike draw the line?
This is what Nike has to understand. They say this. When Nike reps an athlete, they can't simply say, okay, everything's going to be fine. There are clauses in every athlete's contract that says if you do something bad, we have the ability to fire you. But this is the risk they have to take. They're not repping a national park that doesn't do anything wrong.
Right.
These are human beings.
But hold on a second, guys.
Time to time.
Hey, hold on. Here's my problem.
But Nike has been shown to make these decisions based on business. I mean, look at Tiger Woods. He was all over the tabloid media for almost a year, and Nike stuck by him. It wasn't until Lance Armstrong had serious charges against him that he was dropped by Nike.
It was the information out of USADA, and that's when they finally dropped.
There's a huge difference.
Here's what's going on. What we're doing. We are in a society, this is what's going on with Nike. We are holding these people up and acting as if they are, you know, the people we're looking up to, and we need to recognize the fact that they're athletes, that's all. We're rewarding them for their athletic prowess.
I'm glad you bring that up.
And I think that we should actually give them, why don't we find out what they're doing morally?
Here's the question, though. When we have all these different sort of now marred athletes, do we have, I mean, Joe Levy, I haven't heard from you, Billboard magazine, forgive me, not Rolling Stone, Billboard, do we have a hero athlete? Who is it?
Do we have a hero athlete out there? I'm sure we do. We're not talking about him right now.
I want to talk about him. That's my question. Is there one? Why aren't we talking about him?
Derek Jeter is still my hero. Still my hero. There are hero athletes. The point is that every athlete is not a hero. Every celebrity is not a hero. The problem we have here is the problem that brands face when they get into the celebrity business. These people are human beings. There are tremendous pressures on them. Celebrity puts more pressure on them.
I see Dr. Drew eye rolling a little bit.
Well, I'm just going to say, so I have the only published literature on celebrity. I've actually studied several hundred of them, and they come to their celebrity with liability. Look at their history of whether it's substance or extreme or chaotic relationships or difficult family systems growing up. That's what creates the liability once they achieve their celebrity status, not the being of the celebrity.
And then we buy the
do we just make Nike, but guys, do we just make Nike say, hey, listen, do you own a gun? Do you cheat on your wife? Do we just give them a questionnaire and can we go from there?
Will they be honest?
In their liability contract. They're always going to ask those questions in the liability contract before it's signed. But again, let's face it, you said it yourself. Nike is a business.
Yeah.
These things, these people sell, and if they didn't, Nike wouldn't have them as advertisers.
Listen,
they want to make money, guys. We got to move on. I love the discussion. I have more coming up next. This one just absolutely boggles my mind. A murder plot, and the suspects are 5th graders. That's next. Okay, before we get to our next hot panel topic, Dr. Drew, what are you doing here?
Well, Brooke, you know, you and I have talked about how much we want to work together, and I was up here in Atlanta working my HLN program, and I'm Raising America, and I heard there was about to be a species-ending event. We were about to have mass extinction of humanity, and I saw the asteroids rain down in Russia, and I thought, I need to be in Brooke's arms when the species comes to an end. So, okay, Peter, Joe, you feel me on this? You know what I'm talking about? The species is coming to an end. I'm going to jump into Brooke's arms. I knew she was here. I had to run in here.
That's going to be me in your arms. Okay, thank you for that, by the way. Much love to you. All right, guys, totally switching tones here. This is a tough one. This is a disturbing story involving a gun, a knife, a plot to kill a little girl, all involving 5th graders. This was a scene in Colville, Washington. This was last Friday. Look at that. You can't see their faces. Or juveniles shackled. 2 5th grade boys, 10 and 11 years of age, being led into court, facing a judge after police allege they conspired to commit murder after bringing a gun and a knife to school. According to the spokesman review and court documents, the incident all started when a classmate saw one of the boys playing with a knife on the bus when he was headed to school last week. The boy then spoke up, told a teacher, who then searched the backpack, found a knife with a 3-inch blade and a .45 caliber handgun inside. Court documents reveal the 2 boys told school staff they planned to use the weapons to lure another student outside and to kill her because, and I'm quoting them, she was really annoying. Police say the 11-year-old also identified 6 other classmates who were targeted. Needless to say, parents of children at the school are unnerved, but thankful that teachers and this student stepped in.
I got a son here, and I was a little freaked out, so I didn't know what to do.
This is my first year having her in a public school. I've homeschooled till then, so it was a little scary for me, but I thought they handled it very well.
Scary, you think? Panel, weigh in. I don't even know where to begin with this. Let's just begin with, how do they learn this behavior?
Home.
Home?
Adults.
Parents?
Always adults.
CSI.
Adults. Unless there's some horrible biological problem like psychopathy, there's some diagnosable condition. Otherwise, they've seen aggression on behalf of adults. Otherwise, no way.
Didi, you say CSI.
I find this story so disturbing, honestly, because not only was it this little girl. You know, we were kids. If a little boy, we didn't like him, he would thump us, you know what I mean? Or he'd push us a little bit, but they're plotting to kill. And here's the thing that was scary to me. They had a hit list with 6 other kids on it, and I'm going, come on.
Yeah,
this
not only
is
that,
crazy.
not only that,
this kid up,
the one
and
kid with the gun was going to hold the other kids at bay while the other one did the stabbing. I mean, they had a plan, an elaborate plan how this was going to work.
At this point in time, they're 10 and 11 years of age. Do they understand the difference between right and wrong?
I don't know if they understand. Go ahead.
You guys are saying these kids.
I don't know if they understand the differences in terms of what they see in the real world. They see stuff on TV. They see the news from what happened in Newtown. They see video games, and it's certainly not video games' fault. I'm not blaming video games. But they get desensitized to this, and advertisements and TV movies coming out, and movies don't help. And I don't necessarily know if they see the difference between the real world of someone dead who's not coming back and an actor who gets shot 5 times but still stands back up.
Here's a question I have, though. Where did they get the gun? Where did these kids get this gun?
Where did they get the gun? Where did they get the gun?
And the knife. Amy, what do you think?
I mean, where did they get the guns? Why do 10 and 11-year-olds have access to pistols and knives? This is the real issue. The parents should be arrested.
I agree. Exactly. When we treat physicians and we treat children and adolescents, we see the patient as the patient-child unit. Why can't the legal system look at that at least a little bit the same way?
Let me quote here. This is what one of the boys said in a police interview. According to court documents, I was going to kill her with the knife, and the other was supposed to use the gun to keep anyone anyone from trying to stop me or mess up my plan. Here's the charge. Charged with conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. They're 10 and 11. What is justice in this situation? What does the legal system do?
The legal system is at a loss here. They really don't know whether to treat them as children or adults.
Right.
And in fact, this has to be settled in Washington court, whether to approach them as children or adults. It's not at all clear. What's clear is that these kids had a criminal mentality. Yep. They have a mob mentality. They wanted to pay another kid to keep him quiet. They had a hit list. This is clearly an adult activity. It clearly feels to us like adult behavior. I have no idea what justice should be. Putting these two kids away for attempted
not
murder.
going to make them better, that's for sure.
Is it that you put the parents away? That's the question for me, is because we all keep talking about these kids and where do they get it from, and everybody's talking, and we keep saying, I keep thinking to myself, where did they get the gun? Where did they get the knife?
Yeah.
And you know,
How do the parents not know that their kid is going to school with a flaming gun?
Police say they got the gun from a family member, and really the final question or the final point I guess I want to bring up, because a lot of times I'm sick of talking about school shootings. We don't know what this could have ultimately resulted in, but I say props to this youngster who spoke up, who heard about this knife and told police
I don't
and
think
stopped it.
That is unusual behavior for a young person. I think that's normative behavior, and that's what we should expect from young people. And I think most kids would speak up when they see somebody acting dangerously. Most kids these days see adults as an asset, not as something that they have to do away with.
And
gotta move on, guys.
The school just implemented that. They said they actually implemented a program like that. So also kudos to the school as well.
Kudos to the school, kudos to the teachers and this youngster. Conversation continues because next, you heard about these congressman tweets leading to a public disclosure that has, he has a mysterious daughter. That's not what some people thought initially. We'll talk about politicians and social media next. It is kind of a familiar story these days. Lawmaker sends tweet to mystery woman. Tweet meant to be private. Reporters pounce. Lawmaker forced to explain himself. Sound familiar? Next story is just like that, but with a twist actually no one saw coming. Take a look. This is Congressman Steve Cohen from Memphis. He is single, 63 years of age, and he was at the president's State of the Union speech just this past Tuesday evening, and he may have been peeking off and on at his phone because he sent out this tweet about halfway through that speech. At Victoria Brink, pleased you're watching ILU. That's I love you. Tweet was meant to be a private message, but it wasn't. And you know what happens? Capitol Hill reporters, they see that, they caught it, they reported the deleted tweet, which he deleted about 15 minutes later. Everyone was asking, who is this Victoria Brink? Well, it turns out it is Cohen's 24-year-old daughter. He says he didn't even know Victoria Brink existed until fairly recently, just a couple years back, in fact. I want to bring my panel back in. Panel? So it's a daughter he didn't know he had, as opposed to maybe like a young love, which a lot of people sort of jump to the conclusion of initially. Does this hurt him politically?
No, not at all.
I love this story.
This is my favorite story. This is so much fun.
Me too.
Why is it your favorite?
First of all, congressmen and anyone in Congress, anyone in politics needs to take a class in Twitter before they're allowed to use it.
Private
I stand by that argument.
No space or period before the Twitter handle, ladies and gentlemen. No space or period. Everyone sees that one.
Can I just tell you guys, this is the reason why I like this story. Here's the reason why I like this story so much. He's a baby daddy, okay?
Yep.
That's really what it boils down to. And I laughed at that. And the other thing about it was I said, you know what? We're going to elect him the baby daddy president. And when he's speaking, we're going to have other people not paying attention to him. I was like, you know what? You're tweeting on the job, buddy.
The best part was watching all the media start to go Mr. Burns and be like, it's a love triangle. Oh, it's his daughter.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, listen, we all
totally
think of Twitter and we think of the Anthony Weiners of the world, right? And we think of people who've been on Craigslist and Facebook saying and doing things that they shouldn't have, that they meant to be in
Brooke,
private.
stop talking about yourself like that. Stop it.
Hello, I'm not talking about myself, but there are other politicians who do. So I mean,
but you know, this actually, to answer your question, this does not seem right now like it's going to hurt him politically.
Yeah.
This is something that has been. This is something that looked prurient that actually has turned into a genuine human story.
Yes.
If you watch him talking about this, he's upset. And there isn't anybody who looks at this who doesn't actually think this is an okay guy. Emotionally,
you look
at
gotta
someone
remember,
who's having a real human moment.
Initially, he tried to lie.
The bigger story here is that nobody is trusting our elected officials. They automatically assume that it's another, you know, Anthony Weiner story or Christopher Lee story. But instead, it's this heartwarming tale of a man who didn't know he had a daughter, and he's twittering her, and he thinks it's a direct message, but it goes out into the Twitterverse.
Who's going to teach our politicians Twitter 101? That's what I want to know.
Social media is a dangerous place. Don't ever forget that. But what is the source of this daughter? Do we know the story? I've heard the full story yet.
Apparently, he, I guess, Googled this old flame, sees picture of daughter, looks kind of familiar, says, does the math.
So his daughter was created by the internet.
Wow.
Yeah.
But you know what? I would be mad. Listen, here's my thing with this guy. I'd be mad if I elected him, and I'm going, hey, you need to be there. You need to be paying attention and everything else, because I may not. I'm electing you to do this, and then when the president's speaking, he's on Twitter.
That's the thing that no one's really picking up here is the fact you kind of don't want to tweet while the president's talking. Just an FYI. You want to put the phone down while the president of the United States is talking.
Let me ask you all.
Hang on, I couldn't hear you. I was twittering. Hang on a second.
If this guy is in his 60s, what is he doing? Google stalking an old girlfriend. And
that's interesting. You're right. That's interesting.
Hey, but we all do
Listen, we're all allowed to be curious. There exists the Googles.
If I pick up my phone during dinner, my wife, you know, kicks the heck out of me. So he's doing it during the State of the Union? Come on.
Exactly.
Hey, he wasn't the only one. He wasn't the only one tweeting. Some say he's, you know, they were trying to inform the public. Perhaps this was obviously a private message, not
playing
intended.
Angry Birds.
Thank you so much, all of you. This has been fascinating, certainly. Dr. Drew, Amy Palmer, Dee Dee McGuire, Peter Shankman, Joe Levy. I'm off to tweet at Brooke CNN.